Hi everyone. I'm going to put a severe trigger warning on this video. I'm about to react to a video by what is her name? Danielle, about the Epstein files, and the reason that I'm even reacting to something like this is because I want to provide a spiritual component. I'm not going to be preachy. I'm not a preachy type of person. But specifically, stuff like this is the reason I got baptized. You know what I'm saying? Like, after all these years, I got baptized. I realized there is a spiritual component to this world. Everybody you see is not a human being. I'm telling you. And when you face a situation like this, or just in your own personal life, when you face a situation that makes you finally realize something beyond my human understanding is going on, there is nothing else that will explain what is going on except the Bible. No other book on this planet is going to explain what's going on. They can do all their little, exposés like this, but if you don't understand why nothing's happening, why nothing is going to be done about this, you need to actually take the titles out, take the title Christian away, take the titles out, and just core understanding. Whose world is this? This is Satan's world. Okay? Every bad thing under the sun that you could think of is happening right now in this fallen world. So I'm going to jump in right here where because she's calling out Christians. She's like, where are the Christians? I know a lot of Christians or Christian leaning people probably voted for and follow Donald Trump, the president. Me, you don't like it, but I don't vote. Okay, I'm not a part of this system, this little game that people. This is why they want you to play the game, the voting game, Democrat, Republican. Why don't third parties ever win? Why doesn't someone from an independent party ever get elected for president? Or the Green Party? You know, there's like 20 different political parties in America. Think. Use your brain. So no, I'm not involving myself in this little voting scheme where they want you distracted, voting, watching elections. This is why. So, I don't know how much of this video I'm going to be able to watch, but I'm going to provide the spiritual aspect of what is going on here because it's a simple explanation. I'm disgusted equally, but I am going to be talking about satanic ritual abuse, multiple personality disorder, DID, things like that in this video. And there will be terrible mentions of disgusting things being done to children. So
might be forgiven by God or something. Yeah, you're just as bad. You're just as bad. Go ahead and keep hiding behind your cross. Keep hiding behind your shield of Christianity. That does not take away from the fact that we're not going to do anything. I don't understand how it's crazy to me. Okay, I feel like
we're gonna start right here in the video. This is 10 minutes even, where she starts to talk about the sex trafficking.
Given you enough of a warning. Without further ado, I'm just going to jump straight into reading these documents, so you have been warned. Blank reported an unidentified female friend who was forced to perform oral sex on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey. The friend told Alexis that she was approximately 13 to 14 years old when this occurred, and the friend allegedly bit President Trump while performing oral sex. The friend was allegedly hit in the face after she laughed about fighting President Trump. The friend said she was also abused by Epstein. At age 16, while modeling, Caller attended 8 parties at Epstein's New York residence. On one occasion, Caller reported she was sexually assaulted by Epstein. On another occasion, 2 twin brothers, Alan and Orrin, lured Caller and her friend upstairs, but they escaped back downstairs. Caller stated Orrin was her best friend and a third brother, Tal, raped 14-year-old girl named Blank. Caller named other individuals involved in big orgy parties with her, other young girls, and older Victoria's Secret models, including Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. Online complainant reported she was a victim and witness to a sex trafficking ring at the Trump Golf Course in Rancho Palos Verdes, California, between 1995 and 1996. Complainant reported Ghislaine Maxwell as the madam and broker for sex parties, clients of whom included Epstein, Robin Leach, and Donald Trump. Complainant reported participating in orgies and that some girls went missing, rumored to have been murdered and buried at the facility. Complainant reported being threatened by Trump's then head of security that if she ever talked of what went on there or who she saw, he would end up as fertilizer for the back 9 holes like the other. Because how do we have statements from victim?
Now, y'all recall that recently, P. Diddy just went on trial for his little sex parties and stuff like that. If you really believe that this kind of stuff is not happening on an even larger level with the politicians and all them people up there in the government, if it's happening in the music industry, do you really not believe that it's happening on a government level and it's even worse? So we know that's happening, right? Like, let's not be in denial about these little the weird way that these wealthy folks, the politicians and government people, have fun because they need so much like weird stimulation levels. They need so much because they have too much money. Even if you think about any rich person, when you have too much money, what do? You throw it all away on drugs because you need the stimulation, you need the high. This is like the same thing. They're just not on drugs. This is their drug. Pedophilia, children, corrupting the innocent.
Explaining that Trump threatened to bury them on his golf course, just like the other people he buried, so they could all just be fertilizer for his grass on his golf course, and nothing's done. You're not going to send dogs out there to sniff? We're not going to excavate it? We're not going to do anything? I don't understand how it's crazy to me that these criminals can just get away with this.
Yes, ma'am. Why can they get away with it? Because everybody is in on it. They are all in on it. The police is in on this. Even if you watch Dateline late at night or whatever, you hear those stories where it's like a high profile individual's child involved in a murder. I believe it was it the Rockefellers, where one of the sons took his dad's yacht out on the water with his girlfriend or his friend's girlfriend. The girl died because she was thrown off the boat. They were drinking, and it gets covered up. It's able to get covered up because they have money. When this book, y'all, money is the root of all evil. That saying does not come from nowhere. It does not come from nowhere, okay? People will do anything for money. Anything. It gets you every worldly thing you could think of. Everything in this world is attainable through money. So that's why people get greedy. You can attain anything, any level of power through just money. Even if you just look at Mr. Beast. I ain't throwing no shade, but look at all the things that he can do, all the places he can rent out, all the videos that he can make, the people he can come into contact with, invite in his videos, just because he has money. Take away that man's money. Would he be able to make videos with celebrities? Would he be able to do these big videos and with the cars and the islands and all this stuff? It's just the money.
And with proof, with the files released, and there's still nothing being done. Complainant following up after a call with NYPD officer regarding her previous tip, reporting that she was forced to perform sex acts when she was 13 years old and pregnant in 1984. Complainant also reported there were high-profile individuals involved in her sex trafficking and the murder and disposal of her newborn daughter. Complainant reported Donald Trump participated regularly in paying money to force her to perform sex with him, and alleged Trump was present when her uncle murdered her newborn child. Where is the pro-life crowd? Right, because Donald Trump is such a good Christian man who wants more babies on this earth because babies are...
I'm pregnant right now. On this channel, I basically, most of the trauma that I endured, like the compactness of the trauma that I endured, was during my pregnancy. Because there are people out here who prey on pregnant women. They love to prey on pregnant women. It doesn't even matter their age, but that's disgusting. But still, that was just an added layer to it. The fact that she was pregnant at that very young age. Because of what she's about to say right now about children, about what the Bible says about children. Children being a gift from God, children being, the very common verses that get taken out of context, like be fruitful and multiply. Nothing in that book is a lie. Nothing in the Bible is a lie. Just don't twist it. Don't twist it. Be fruitful and multiply does not mean have an exorbitant amount of children living in filth and squalor. You know that. We all know that. We all know that children are blessings. It is amazing. The whole process of life, it don't even matter what animal, what species we're talking about. It don't even matter if we're just talking about a seed turning into a giant oak tree, right? Just the whole life is rare in this universe. Life is a blessing. It does not matter what we're talking about. Of course, children are a blessing. We all know this. Philosophically, like, just take the religion out of it, but philosophically, life is so rare in this gigantic universe. To say it's not a blessing, to say that it's not of a higher power, to say that it's not of God, whoever created this universe, that it's not from them, would be foolish. So, let me tell you then, who do you think would hate women because they were given the ability to produce life? Who do you think that would be? God gives women the ability to produce life. Who hates God? Who hates everything God stands for and creates? Satan. Okay? Y'all, don't think you don't have to be religious to understand some of these concepts. You can be an atheist and understand on a philosophical level. If you want to bring science into it, if you want to be logical, you will still come to the conclusion that life is amazing because of its rarity, just through logic. So, anything that is involved in anything satanic is going to hate and kill children, and they're going to target women, such as with the sex trafficking. And the younger you can destroy, you destroying multiple lives at once. Why wouldn't Satan love that? Why wouldn't anybody doing satanic rituals? Because these people are following Satan. They are Satan. They are followers of Satan. That is their religion. We hear about this all the time. Satanic ritual abuse is, I want to say, in my opinion, is the most unbelieved abuse on this planet. People will swear that you are schizophrenic. They will swear up and down that you are literally just mentally ill. For real. But this stuff actually happens behind closed doors. So
God's gift, right? They vote to take away women's rights because a man who murdered babies told them to. Where are you guys? It's in the files. Why have I not seen one Christian say anything seriously? I had this girl that I went to Pensacola Christian College with message me recently on Instagram trying to help me out because I'm posting things about being anti-ICE and...
Right, let me make it clear that she is deconstructed religion. I don't remember what sect she said she grew up in, but she's left Christianity.
Our president telling me, hey, be careful, I just care about you, I care about you. And I don't understand. Okay, me and her had this entire back and forth because I'm like, how dare you tell me to be careful about speaking out against injustices when all I've seen you post before I had to unfollow you was all about Charlie Kirk, but I've not seen anything about anything else. And then we're going back and forth and we're talking about all of this stuff, right? And she tells me that she doesn't understand why I'm so argumentative about small things that don't even really matter. What world are Christians living in right now? I'm so confused, okay, because I used to be a Christian and I kind of understand still, believe it or not, because I remember the things I was...
That's not a world that... I tell you, there are a lot of different types of Christians, a lot of different types. Besides just the average evangelical, Baptist, Pentecostal, there's a lot of different types of ways that people interact with the Bible and with their belief in God. So I can't really speak for anybody who believes in God but makes excuses for injustice. There are a lot of Christians who vehemently refuse to acknowledge anything to do with Satan, right? And then there are Christians on the other side who, fall into spiritual psychosis because they think everything is a satanic attack, And then there's people in the middle. There's all kinds of ways that Christians interact with their faith. I'm obviously on that side where I'm like, I study demonology, angelology, stuff like that, the spiritual warfare aspect, because that's just my experience. That's my experience. It's undeniable for me in my personal experience. The type of Christians that she's talking about, this girl that she's talking about, she was going back and forth with, and a lot of Christians who may follow the president are in that camp where they don't believe, they don't want to think about anything evil. And it's just kind of like a denial. Because I don't know the logic behind it, but if you take away this world's evil, then you missing kind of the whole point of, at the very least, the first few books of the Bible. Kind of you missing the whole point of Genesis. And it's like, what? Huh? Okay, right there, the first few pages where we're getting to know how this earth was made, how things were created, and we're discussing sin within the first few pages of the Bible. And it's like, then you want to deny that it exists? I don't like that, but I don't really think I would say that's a fantasy world that Christians who were kind of raised in the religion will come to think, because they haven't really lived in actual life. They haven't really had to go through anything which forced them to come to any conclusions about the Bible, about God, about life in general. So
taught about being told, like, oh, shut off the outside world, right? We have faith in God. We don't actually have to be involved in anything. But you know what? I don't care anymore. I really don't care anymore. Adults, if you are an adult and you can see all of this stuff and still support a man because he might be forgiven by God or something, yeah, you're just as bad. You're just as bad. Go ahead and keep hiding behind your cross. Keep hiding behind your shield of Christianity. That does not take away from the fact that you people voted for this. People voted for this. Pro-life people voted for this man. And now they're sitting here on their hands not saying anything and telling people like me that I should be quiet. And we wonder why we're here. Donald Trump, the president, had parties at Mar-a-Lago called Calendar Girls. Jeffrey Epstein would bring the children in and Trump would auction them off. He measured the children's vulva and vaginas by entering a finger and rated the children on tightness. The guests were elder men and included Elon Musk, Donald Jr. Trump, Ivanka Trump, and Eric Trump were there. Attorney Alan Dershowitz was also there with attorney Bob Shapiro. We were taken in rooms, forced to give oral sex to Donald J. Trump, forced to allow them to penetrate us. I was 13 years old when Donald J. Trump raped me. Ghislaine Maxwell was also present, and people still refuse to believe that any of...
Y'all, the first thing when I'm thinking about an excuse that somebody might make for this being lies is that other women were present. How many of us have seen women defend an abuser? Even with like court documents, even with like he's got restraining orders piled up on top of one of another for his ex-girlfriends. How many times have we seen this on a little scale, where people are defending, making excuses? Well, women are defending and making excuses for abusers with the logic, oh well, he was nice to me when I met him. He didn't hit me. He didn't beat me when we was together. You know what I mean? So it's just being complicit. If you kind of dig a little bit deeper into the pick me movement, if you just kind of think about those type of women who get called pick me's, and you like dig a little bit deeper, it's the same psychology. Like, it doesn't matter what men are doing that's horrible. Like, there's always going to be a woman helping, assisting. Like, I don't think they would be able to accomplish terrible things like this if those other women around them refused to bat an eye at it. I don't think they would have succeeded in having... Jeffrey Epstein would not have been able to do this. Without the lady Ghislaine, he wouldn't have been able to do this. She was the one recruiting. You feel me? She was the one getting the girls on the island. So, you know, we as women need to wake up. It's dangerous to care so much about a man's approval that you'll throw children under the bus. We've heard stories about moms killing their own daughters because their boyfriend want to have sex and their daughter's in the way, etc., etc. We heard all these stories.
This is true. The United States Mar-a-Lago is still a thing. I mean, roll the tapes to that weird party that they just had wearing all the animal masks. Meanwhile, people, their own American citizens, are getting in the face on the street.
Y'all, that visual is giving Squid Games. I'm not gonna lie to you. She just showed a video of some kind of party, and then the rich folks got masks on. They got animal masks on. If y'all seen Squid Games, is that not giving Squid Games, where they finally like reveal that it's like a watch party going on behind the scenes of the Squid Games when they doing the bridge, and they all wearing the masks?
You can't tell what kind of dystopian hellscape we're living in, if it's Squid Games, if it's Hunger Games, if it's Tender is the Flesh, or if it's a combination of all of these. But I am angry. And I am angry that people are looking at me weird for being angry. Why is nobody else as angry as me? Why is nothing happening? Why are you people in power? I'm sure somebody who can pull some strings is listening to my video by now, right? Why haven't you done anything? What is up with everybody sitting here tiptoeing around the...
They benefiting from it. They are benefiting. Normal people would think, what benefit could you possibly have for covering this up? Money. That's it. And if you don't understand that, that's good, because you're a normal human being. But these people are not human beings. They are demons. That's the kind of stuff demons care about so bad that they'll do anything for it. Lust, sex, greed, money. There are actual demons who are in control of these things, like lust, greed, money, laziness, like sloth, all this stuff. And let me clarify, the 7 deadly sins, that I don't think that's anywhere in the Bible. That's not a biblical concept. But there are demons who are, they have actual names, and they are in control of certain aspects of the worst of humanity. They're in control of these certain things. Like anything terrible that you could think of that a human being is doing, there's a demon behind it, and they actually have a name. And whatever that person is struggling with, that is that demon's realm. Okay? So there is one for power. Power, greed, money, all of this.
Legal red tape and legally this, legally that. Clearly this man doesn't care about legalities. Look at what's happening right now on our streets, and look at the Epstein files. When has this man ever cared? When? So when are we going to stop caring? Until he is out. Until he is out. And we have somebody worth our respect. So obviously in this section, we're talking about trafficking and what that looked like. Obviously how old the girls were. Young. Like crazy, right? But we haven't really seen much of like how it starts, okay? Like clearly, yes, the girls are there. They are being exploited and taken advantage of. They are being raped for money, all right? But how did they get there? I found this one, it's like a complaint form that I think can help people understand how easy it is for kids to get wrapped up in this kind of stuff, or this to happen to victims. Like, I don't want to say for kids to get wrapped up in this because it sounds like the kids pursuing it. All right, this one really hit close to home for me because you'll see why this all makes sense in a second. I'm also from the Midwest. I'm from Missouri. And my stepdad, the kind of the straw that broke the camel's back for me to finally tell somebody what was happening at my house was not when he almost took my life twice by strangulation. It wasn't that. It was actually when he sat me down, and I had already caught him recording me for holes in my walls and stuff, and he had already been taking photos of me that were questionable, like me completely muddy head to toe in a bathing suit, me pulling a needle with him standing right behind me, pelvis to pelvis. I mean, I could keep going, but it was when he sat me down on the edge of my bed, and I was in 8th grade, and I was sitting on my floor, and I was just doing my hair, just in my mirror doing my hair, and I was scrolling on my phone, and he walked through my door like a snake, like I'm not even kidding, it's like he slithered through my door, and then he shut the door quickly behind him quietly, which I thought was weird because I grew up in the kind of house where no privacy, you're getting the door slammed open, and then I'm here doing my hair, and I was scrolling on my phone, and he walked through my door like a snake, like I'm not even kidding, it's like he slithered through my door, and then he shut the door quickly behind him quietly, which I thought was weird because I grew up in the kind of house where no privacy, you're getting the door slammed open anytime the parent wants to come in. So I thought that was really weird, but who am I to question my parents, right? Like, he's doing what he's doing. I'm sitting on my bed, and he's sitting here rubbing his hands together. He's acting really, really nervous. He's got like rubbing his knees, like hunched over, kind of like elbows on his knees sort of thing, that kind of position. And he wouldn't look at me. And he opens the conversation just casually, right? And then he says, you know how you've been wanting a job, right? And I got excited. I'm like, yeah, I've been wanting a job. Duh. Freaking 13, 14 years old. I'm into makeup, hair, you name it, I want to buy it, right? And we didn't have a lot of money growing up. We weren't a rich family. We weren't necessarily a poor family. We had what we needed, and we got gifts on our birthdays and Christmas. Financially speaking, I had it very good. But we didn't have so much money that my mom was just sitting here giving me like an allowance for makeup and stuff. Of course, not even if we did have the allowance money, she probably still would not have. I'm literally trying to distract myself from telling you guys this story, but I think it's really important. And I've told it before, it's just always really hard to tell. So he says, you know, you want a job? And I'm like, yeah, of course I've been wanting a job. And he says, well, I have a job for you. And it involves photography. I got really excited because it's the era of Instagram, all right? Like 2013 era. And I was into taking pictures. Duh. I'm thinking like, wow, this could be my big break. I don't know. I'm in middle school. Okay, I'm gonna get paid for something. This sounds exciting. With a camera. That's when he says, but you won't be taking the pictures, you'll be in them. And they're not gonna be pictures, it's going to be videos. I had no time to respond. He was kind of just talking so fast, or my brain was just slow motioning everything. I don't know. But I remember the next thing he said was, it would just be videos of me and you around the house, hugging, kissing, doing what we already do. But the less clothes you wear, the more money we will make. And you don't have to worry about it. Because it wouldn't be sold here in the United States. It would be sold overseas through my buddies at work. so you'll be okay. Nobody will ever see it. And I was silent. I mean, I knew things were bad, but that was just kind of like if you experience like abuse as a kid, like there's a point in time where it really just smacks you in the face, whether it's when you're a kid or you're an adult. There's a point in time where life really just hits you in the face, and it's like, yeah, that really happened to you, and it really was that bad. And that was kind of my moment for me, where I was like, oh my God. And I didn't say anything. And I remember the last thing he said was something along the lines of like, I'll give you some time to think about it. And then the last thing he said before he left my room was, oh, and one more thing, don't tell your mom. And I didn't for a while. I kept it to myself. I did reach out to a friend that night, and it's a long story on what happened after that and everything. But this one really hits close to home for me because I'm from the Midwest, and my stepdad, that's the route he was trying to take me down, is going somewhere to be filmed and recorded and starting at home. And then it's really scary. It's really scary because this is something that happened to just random girls that just wanted to be a model, that just wanted to be something. Like, they target kids who just want to be something. So I'm gonna read this for you guys now. Attorney to Jane Doe contacted the public access.
Yeah. 100% true. This stuff is going on everywhere. Maybe with your neighbors. Like, it's going on everywhere. But the key is that what she just said, don't tell your mom, or like the threats that they'll use to be like, oh, like, nobody's gonna believe you, and the whole psychological aspect to it is why nobody talks about it, because they truly end up believing like, oh my goodness, like, this is actually insane, this isn't normal, and it's not normal to the point where if I do speak up, I am scared that nobody's gonna believe me. It's terrible. But she had her mom in the picture. Just think about these girls who may be homeless, getting kicked out. They might be on the streets. Like, their parents might be escaping abuse at home from their parents, and then they're getting propositioned like this, where it's saying modeling career. They could be getting approached, getting propositioned, thinking that they're going to be able to like financially support themselves and get out of their situation or get stable, when it's really just another trap.
Unit to report the exploitation and rape of a minor child of 13 years of age by Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey E. Epstein. Blank stated that his client, Jane Doe, was enticed to cross state lines to visit with Epstein and Trump to perform sexual acts on both adult men at special parties hosted by Epstein. Doe was told that this was to further her modeling career in something she had to do. During the summer of 1994, after her 7th grade school year ended, Doe took a 3-day bus trip from her father's home in the Midwest under the pretense that she would be visiting her grandmother. Doe traveled instead to New York City, New York, in order to start a modeling career. Doe was initially turned down and asked to return with a portfolio at a later time. While waiting for her bus home, Doe was approached by, referred to hereafter as, and was urged to return to attend a party hosted by Epstein so that Doe could meet important people in that field of work who could help her break into a modeling career. Doe was also told that she would be paid for attending the party. Blank mailed Doe a buddy pass plane ticket to fly her back to New York. Doe attended 4 of these 3 parties and was paid around $500 for her attendance. Blank instructed Doe to use the name Blank at these parties. During the first party, Doe was asked to strip down to her underwear and give a massage to Epstein. Doe was asked by Epstein to do sexual acts, but she refused. Doe was later asked to massage the penis of Epstein's guest Trump with her hands. Doe was told that this was what she had to do in order to get a job, and Doe complied. During the second party, Doe was asked to perform oral sex on Trump and complied. During the third party, Doe was made to perform oral sex on Trump with another young girl named Blank. Epstein was angry that Trump was the one to take Doe's virginity, and then went on to rape Doe by vaginal and oral penetration with his penis. Doe struggled and was struck by both men during the assault. Doe was then threatened with violence by both men to not make any report of what happened. We'll make you disappear like Blank. Doe was not paid for this final party. Doe remained in contact with Blank after the final party, and Blank was regretful of what happened to Doe. Blank's job was to recruit young girls to attend Epstein's parties with the knowledge that they would be coerced into sexual activities. I really don't know how somebody could support that man. I really don't understand how people can still support him. I really don't understand. She just wanted to be a model. She just wanted to do something that she loved. She just wanted to be a model. And they did that to her.
No, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I am actually shocked. Like I said, I don't get into nothing political. I do remember years ago on Extra, where this might have been when he announced that he was ever going to run for office, or it might have been a little bit before then, but This is when it came out of the locker room talk video. Please be suspicious of any man that's engaging in that type of locker room talk. Whereas it's the degrading women talk, and it's a red flag, y'all, for a reason. But I am actually shocked that it's children involved here too. You know, we all knew that he was sketchy and had done sketchy things to women, like grown women, and wasn't respectful of women. But no, I did not know that it was that severe. So, oops. So that's disturbing. People they don't think. They don't think about morals when it comes to politics. Like, morals and politics are not one and the same. And the average voter is pretty much too caught up thinking that they're being a good citizen by voting to actually like think about what kind of power is my vote giving this person. No one actually thinks about that. So, what is my vote actually fueling? What is this person that I'm voting for? What do they stand for? Like, what do their actions say that they stand for? Morally, as a person, who are they? Character-wise, who are they actually? Not just what they're saying. I'm sure they have PR teams just like celebrities. They get coached. They probably take classes on what to say to crowds to rile them up, calm them down. It's manipulation. So that's why I don't like getting into that. But yeah, you really need to be careful when you even decide to vote. That's why they want you to sign up to vote so freaking young. That's why they want y'all voting at 18 to 24. I feel like in that period of time, you think you're the most knowledgeable and you're the most like riled up by social issues is during that like time period. So they pressure young folks to start voting. They do all that stuff where they try and like get the young vote. They care about that a lot. It's for a reason, because young people are susceptible. Like, unless you had a rock solid upbringing, which rarely do any of us have, even if you did, you can easily get manipulated by the media or like pressure, even colleges, to get involved in this political stuff and choose a side. And you feel all superior when you do choose a side, but on every side, they're all in this.
Our president of this country did this to kids. Our president, the current sitting president did this, and he's still sitting there in that office right now. And yeah, I'm also mad about all the other presidents too, and every celebrity. The reason I'm harping, once again, so much on Trump is the fact that he is still in office, and he is the president of the United States of America. Who should be held at the highest standard? The president of America or a celebrity? I mean, we should all be holding everybody to the same standard, but like, the president. Nothing's being done about any of these people, though. But that man is still in office, and people are still defending him. Girls and women to this man are nothing more than how Marcus viewed the heads in Tender is the Flesh. I think everybody should read that book to see how cold and callous human beings can be against other human beings, because if you have a shred of empathy, this may be hard for you to grasp. It's hard for me to grasp. They don't view us like humans. Now I think we should move on to the next kind of section of this.
Because they're not human. That man is not a human being. He's not a human being. I would argue that anybody who surpasses making a certain amount of money crosses into the territory of being able to be accused of no longer being a human being. Because it's like, what desire would a human being have for all of that money?
That is focusing on the forced pregnancies, the forced birth, the forced abortions, and the murder of children, of these babies. In particular, I'm going to be reading, I guess, like the diary entry, I guess you could say, of one of these victims who I believe was 15 or 16 years old, either when this happened / when she wrote it.
In the Bible, it talks about the pagan societies who worship these pagan gods, and I would have to look up which one it is, because I almost want to say Baal was the god. Hold on. So I say, with biblical citation, please remind me which pagan god was worshipped for sacrificing babies. Molech. It was Molech. Okay. The pagan god associated with the sacrifice of children, specifically infants, is Molech. This practice is explicitly condemned by God and described as an abomination. So it's giving me the key passages in the NKJV. This is in the law in Leviticus. And you shall not let any of your descendants pass through the fire of Molech, nor shall you profane the name of your God. I am the Lord. Leviticus 18:21. God makes the judgment unmistakably severe. Okay? Whoever of the children of Israel or of the strangers who dwell in Israel, who gives any of his descendants, their children, to Molech, he shall surely be put to death. Leviticus 22. Chapter 20, verse 2. In Israel's history, and he defiled Topheth, which is the valley of the son of Hinnom, that no man might make his son or daughter pass through the fire of Molech. 2 Kings 23:10. And through the prophets, God speaks with grief and anger. They have built the high places of Topheth to burn their sons and their daughters in the fire, which I did not command, nor did it come into my heart. Jeremiah 7:31. And again, okay, they built the high places of Baal to cause their sons and daughters to pass through the fire to Molech, which I did not command them. Jeremiah 32:35. Okay. So all of this, the child sacrifice is part of pagan rituals. God makes it clear. No, that's not what we do. This is not right. This is not what we do. It's reprehensible. Okay? So, if it's still going on, people are still practicing these, they're still sacrificing. Who are they sacrificing to? That's where that's where that comes from.
It's going to be really hard, especially if you're a mom. I'm not even going to edit this part out. Like, I'm like really heartbroken. Like, I think that we all should just take a moment of silence for a second. And I'm not going to apologize for crying. I'm not going to apologize for any emotion. Because the only way anybody should feel about this is so upset. And it should be normal to visually show how upset you are by this. Like, I'm not even gonna apologize. Like, I'm mad, and I'm not unreasonable for being this mad, and more people should be crying tears for these kids and the babies that these kids lost. Like, this is, like, really hard. Oh gosh, I thought I'd caught it, but I didn't. Okay, we're fine. Let's move on to the next section. Okay? Like I said, they view us as just property, as cattle, similar to the way the people in the society of Tinder is the flesh viewed heads, and that even, extends to babies. Babies are just currency. It's like passing around your favorite chocolate bar. I have dark chocolate, you have white chocolate, well, I want this chocolate. It's like literally like everybody has brought their favorite chocolate bar to the party and is like, oh, want to trade. That is how they discuss babies. Blank spoke of this going on at Zorro Ranch. She has said on record.
So what we just discussed, the verses we just read from the Bible, okay? So if you related these folks who have engaged these demons who have engaged in the sacrificing of children, or having children sacrificed to them, do they clearly feel like they're gods, right? They clearly feel like they're gods. And that makes you wonder, like, okay, maybe that's what these politicians and government officials and the police who work with them and all the people who support them, right? I'm talking about the higher up people, like their wives and such and so on. You have to think, like, are they trying to get a piece of that power? That false power? And then some part of me is going to talk about this where there is a man who tells his story of satanic ritual abuse, and I think he's pretty famous for telling his story about it. But he talks about how he is like a descendant of actual vampires, and that his ancestors and people from his bloodline, right, drank human blood for vitality. Okay, they drank blood. God makes it clear, you are not supposed to consume blood. There is a reason. It does have power. That power is not right. It's not right. So it's the same kind of thing. Like, these practices are happening all over the place. Still, this is like it's not new to humanity. It's not new to humanity is what I'm trying to explain to you. Like, this stuff is ancient. And I feel like some of the ancient practices are the most demonic.
That Epstein offered her money to do this. Birth babies for black market use.
So many of the things that God outlaws were actual human practices that were disgusting and demonic. What made them demonic is their sacrificing to false gods.
Yeah, they have baby farms. Or had. Maybe still do. I don't know.
What was that?
Banks spoke of this going on at Zorro Ranch. She has said on record that Epstein offered her money to do this. Birth babies for black market use. Yeah, they have baby farms. Or had. Maybe still do. I don't know. And nobody's going to look into it. Nobody's going to investigate this. Hello, where are you at, justice system? Somewhere there's a baby farm where they're keeping men or women locked away for the sole purpose of being an incubator. And by the way, that was the case in Tender is the Flesh, too. As you can see, the next couple things I'm going to read to you were actually...
Man, I tell you, I feel like every TV show, movie, book that's been written by a human being, I feel like there is no... Like, either it happened or it's possible under the sun, you know? And it's just that the author, like, innately something in the author knows that this happened, or that this world is capable of producing a society where such things happen.
wrote in like a code. So it reads like from top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom across 2 rows. But thankfully somebody decoded it and I can just read it from the files itself. But I just think that like it shows a lot of how private and secretive that these girls had to be. And by the way, also, it was not just girls in these files either. And I'm sorry for not mentioning that thus far. One boy that I can think of that stands out to me is Sasha Riley. And Sasha Riley actually harmed Donald Trump when Donald Trump ended up murdering his friend and then trying to take advantage of him. Donald Trump asked Sasha Riley to penetrate himself. Donald Trump even gave this young boy a condom, in which case Sasha Riley then put that condom on the end of a tent stake and shoved it where the sun don't shine. Close your eyes, close your eyes, close your eyes. Don't speak, she doesn't talk. I can't stop shaking and it's been a week. A decision was made, but I can't tell Jeffrey. These things happen. Why didn't I close my eyes fast enough? The doctor was different again, I think from Israel. He had kind eyes but didn't speak directly to me. This was different. A shot in those rod-like things that had a hook and so much pain. Belaine said to push all the pain away. I don't understand. Blood and water all over the bed, and she was right. Like a feeling when your tummy hurts and you have to push. She said to close my eyes and put her hands over my eyes, but I didn't close them because of the tiny cries. I am so lost. I saw between her fingers this tiny head and body in the doctor's hands. It reached its tiny arm up and had a tiny foot. I closed my eyes and no more cries. I don't understand. Just say these things happen, but he doesn't believe that. They yelled and screamed, and he said it will be the same in a couple months, and she said she was fed up with it all. I don't understand what's going on, and no one will tell me. I can't go to school like this. I can't stop shaking. Why won't anyone make it stop? I know Belaine is trying, but nothing changes. Why didn't I close my eyes? This child was made to give birth so young she doesn't even understand what's happening. She describes...
Yeah, I feel like the shaking she's describing is like when you give birth naturally and your body is just like off the adrenaline and you're just like shaking, the labor shakes and the afterbirth shakes. That's too much, y'all. I'm not gonna lie to you.
She describes contractions as her tummy hurting. She doesn't understand. Like, the only thing that her child self has to compare this to is a bad tummy ache. Like, and if you've never given birth, no child should have to go through that. Like, I've given birth multiple times. One of those being in my own home, so obviously no pain medication or anything. And as much as it was a good experience for me, and it's something I look back on very fondly, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that it was easy. I literally felt like I was not going to be here anymore.
Yeah.
I remember screaming, help, help, I'm dying. I was in my 20s. This is a kid who's feeling that same thing, except I was old enough to understand. I prepared for it. I got myself in that situation. I had been knowing that I was going to give birth at home. I had been preparing for how to manage myself. She's a kid. A kid. In the hall, Ghislaine said she was beautiful. She was, not is. She was a beautiful girl. I heard her. Where is she? Why did she stop whimpering? She was born. I heard the tiny cries. I can't do this anymore. And then the next page is a poem about stillborn. He was right. A couple of months in 2 pink lines with a hold on being with others until after it was positive. I want to die. Why didn't she protect me? As long as I'm wearing what you want, there is no respect for me as a human. I am nothing but your property and incubator. You only trust me when I am under your complete control. I will never trust another man, ever. I am the only one who provides and sacrifices everything. I give and give out of terror, and you take all of me. You need me to continue, keeping us all connected. Unlike drugs, a child's body can be sold over and over. This is not surprising, but there is no such thing as a child. They are children and cannot consent. They are missing the biggest in my own backyard and so many more. Like Mar-a-Lago, where I see Mr. Joe and Mrs. Ann. Controlled all by Jeffrey, all the time. Get away from it all. And go to New Mexico? What in the heck? That makes no sense. What about school? Behind the scenes, he is now controlling everything, when it used to be Ghislaine, who some days acts like she hates me. Secrets of all of them. I'm tired of keeping a secret. I know people are wondering, but I can't tell. I'm exhausted. Broken promises. I don't understand why she is treating me on some days like I'm the enemy. But then we lay in bed together, and she is how she used to be. Warm. He makes her feel my tummy, and it's so sad and confusing. Superior gene pool? Why me? It makes no sense. Why my hair color and eye color? That feels very not like, but in thinking about these stupid, insane theories he has, I guess in his mind it makes sense. The piano and music comments are made to convince me this is right and will create perfect offspring, he calls them. I don't think it works that way, and it's making me hate playing altogether. Piano or viola. I'm starting to resent them both. I miss the person I was before I was made into what feels like a human incubator. And what about school? What about school? These cases are so heartbreaking because it's like these kids, like, they're still just thinking about child things, like school and their friends. And April 22nd, I had no choice. I wasn't ready and she wasn't ready. My mother had found me and it was urgent. After so many bonding moments with Jeffrey, Ghislaine, their baby inside me with me in the middle, she wouldn't even look at me. We said nothing to one another and I was so confused. When we arrived at Palm Beach, I was taken to a house close to Jeffrey's, I think called Ocean Boulevard or Street, but it was close and I was alone except for the new driver, Mr. Juan. An elderly French lady whose pictures on the wall didn't have her. She had a thick accent and was kind. Said she had been born to deliver babies and had been doing so since before I was born. Similar as the last one, with shot and hook, but with so much water and unbearable pain. She put her hands inside of me and seemed worried. I didn't understand something about the baby facing the wrong way and putting pressure on the placenta. Things would have to be different. She said I had to be brave and strong and listen to her directions so she could help safely get the baby out. I was terrified seeing so much blood on the bed and floor and started to panic. She had me flip over to my hands and knees and had me push and push, and it was so excruciating. I could feel everything as she tried to guide the baby out, but I was so tired. I felt I was, but suddenly she had caught a beautiful baby girl who made more than a whimper, but beautiful cries. She let me hold her and wash her and brought her back clean and perfect. She smelled so good and showed me how to feed her. But only after maybe 15 minutes, Mr. M came to take her. I was hysterical and begging for more time. He said those horrible girls were in the car waiting, but I wouldn't let her go. The old woman promised me she would be safe, and I had to let go. 4 pounds, 10 ounces, 18.5 inches long with beautiful long fingers. I am dead inside. Life has no meaning. I don't want to be here. Finally, we need to discuss the murder and consumption of children. I previously provided a tip about 3 weeks ago.
I need a break after that. I don't know what to say after that.
Maybe 4 weeks ago, under an alias I have for myself, blank. All the other details of the previous tip match all the information given in today's tip, except I am giving my real name. A detective from NYPD FBI's Trafficking Task Force called me a couple of weeks ago from a 212 area code number. I talked to him for about 20 or 30 minutes about my being trafficked by my uncle and Jeffrey Epstein in 1984 while I was 13 and pregnant. I told him some other important information about other high-profile individuals involved in my trafficking and disposal of my newborn daughter because I gave birth to her while in the middle of this trafficking ordeal. I cannot remember the detective's name, nor do I have a number where I can contact him. Violation questions. What was the exact crime that occurred? Child sex trafficking and infanticide. When did the crime/incident occur? Please provide an approximate date and time. May through September 1984. Where did the crime and incident occur? Please provide the specific location and address if possible. Mostly from a yacht in Lake Michigan, originating from Mona Lake, Michigan. Additional info. I am just wanting to reconnect with the original detective that called me, and I offered information about this. How is contact known? He was orchestrating a deal, along with my uncle, where different men and a few women and girls would come to a variety of boats and yachts and pay money to force me to do blank with them when I was 13 and pregnant. Additional info. Again, just trying to find out the NYPD detective on the FBI sex trafficking task force that called me a couple of weeks ago and spoke to me about some of these issues. How is contact known? He participated regularly in paying money to force me to blank with him, and he was present when my uncle murdered my newborn child and disposed of the body in Lake Michigan. They took this 13-year-old girl's baby from her and disposed of it in a lake. And that is not the only absolutely depraved thing that they've done on a yacht. At 1200 hours, a male
Demons hate children. They hate life, okay? They hate life. And that's what happens. Those are not, her uncle, that was not a human being. I'm telling you, that wasn't a human being.
as one blank arrived at the C20 office. Blank stated he was unemployed and resides with his mother and her unemployed morbidly obese boyfriend. Blank stated he has ingested hallucinogenic mushrooms as well as other illicit substances in the past and currently smokes marijuana. Blank reported being raised by his great uncle since the age of 5 years old until age 22. Blank described meeting Epstein at a yacht club in blank. Of his relatives were members. First at age 5 and later at age 8. Blank states he was raised by Epstein in 2000 on a law.
Now, again, like the stories of satanic ritual abuse that I've heard, some of them, these children's parents were like in on it. Like their parents were part of these groups, like raising their children to become parts of these rituals. The infanticide is not the only thing that I've heard of them doing at these satanic ritual parties, or why they need the teenage girls or why they need the teenage boys. Like that's, I've heard accounts of girls have just being asked to do the strangest, weirdest things at these rituals for the purpose of satanic rituals. Okay. So, yeah, they kind of like train you. It feels like this boy was like kind of trained up. It says reported being raped by his great uncle since the age of 5 years old. Yeah, the family be complicit. Like they sometimes try to like break you down. I heard one story where I think it was a woman, like they would take her in the middle of the night and just like confuse her and stuff. And then like the guy that I was talking about earlier, or one of the other guys who also experienced the ritual abuse, like he said they was creating multiple personalities so you would not remember what happened to you. And he said that there was like trigger words that they would use, like kind of like training you like a dog. Trigger words, and it would change you to a different personality. Yeah. Which mental illness is the most debated and skeptical and doubted? Is DID. I wonder why.
Yeah, 9 out of blank, as well as by former U.S. President William J. Clinton. Blank states the also current President Trump, along with his wife Melania, were present during the said yacht trip in 2000. Trump, not married to his current spouse Melania until 2005. Reports while being by Epstein and Clinton, he was heavy in a drug-induced state. Stated all of the above incidents were recovered repressed memories until he began therapy sometime in 2016 approximately. Blank offered no supporting or corroborating evidence or witnesses that could become...
Them repressed memories? Yeah. I would speculate that in this case, when it's like repressed memories, it's because the other personality was holding all of that until he started the therapy. That's why they want to create the multiple personalities, because your brain, whatever they do, gets hidden in your brain. So you don't even know that it happened until therapy of some sort. And it's a gamble that you will even like, wake up one day and feel like something's wrong enough to go to therapy.
Blank appeared to me emotionally unbalanced and not intoxicated. At this time, it is not recommended that any additional investigative resources be expended concerning Blank's claim. What is wrong with our law enforcement? It makes me so mad. It makes me so mad that a police officer can look at you and say, I hear all of your story, but sounds fake to me. Next. What do you mean?
Yeah. Some of the police is just, you don't need barely any training to become a police officer. So I wouldn't really, leave anything important to them, to be honest with you. But other times it's just like the quota. What's easier? They have certain things that are easier to get their quota met on, and they don't want to waste time on things that might be too difficult or take too long. It really, pursuing certain things don't benefit the police. You know what I mean?
I hear all of your story and I believe you, but you literally have no evidence to show me? Nothing at all? Nobody will corroborate your story? No? Okay, you must be lying. And we're not going to investigate this for you. So until 38,000 more victims come forward, looks like you're out of luck, dude. Oh, what world do we live in, guys? I'm waiting to wake up. I want to wake up tomorrow and everything be reset and actually live for justice for all, right? Let's all hope that maybe tomorrow could be the great reset. It goes on to say this. He has more to tell us too, he said. I'd like to add a few other points disclosed in the purported victim. While on this yacht, he witnessed African-American males having sex with white blonde females, all of whom were bleeding during intercourse. He was a victim of a type of ritualistic sacrifice in which his feet were cut with a scimitar, but left no scarring. On the yacht, he witnessed babies being their intestines removed, and individuals eating the feces from these intestines. I want somebody to explain to me right now why I'm constantly on the brink of getting canceled for saying people like this should be what we use for experiments instead of innocent animals. Why am I almost getting canceled for saying that? Please. Why am I almost getting canceled for saying, look at what they're doing? Them being is the easy way out for them, dude. If they're gonna be here, we can at least do something beneficial for all of humanity. And since you wanted to treat people like animals, well, great, we're replacing the animals with you. And now maybe we can progress our medicine medicine faster. Maybe we can have better skincare products and stuff because we're actually testing this stuff on real human beings, not something similar to. But I get why people want to cancel me for that because it sounds absolutely barbaric. But what I'm saying sounds more barbaric than that. Oh my God. There are also other emails where these sickos are comparing eating babies to cream cheese. I want to wake up. I really want to wake up. I am so triggered, especially by the way people are talking about this.
We're here, girl. This is Satan's world. Okay? We are here. This world, Jesus is not back yet. This whole world is Satan's territory. That is why we are all susceptible to spiritual warfare. That is why. Because this world, this planet is a battlefield. A battle against God and shit like this. Okay? So you really do have to choose a side. That is the side that you need to choose as a human being. Are you with God? Or are you going to fall into the trap of Satan? There is no way. The only way to wake up is to realize this is a battlefield. And we are battling against evil. We are the catalyst. Oh, Lord, that ain't right, though. That ain't right. After this, I swear to y'all, I'm going to have to take a long shower because, that ain't right. That ain't right. Them not human. Those are not human beings. Those aren't humans.
It's funny, it's lighthearted, it's like shock factor. Oh my God, can you believe that happened? Yeah, I can! Yes, I can't believe that happened! I remember being called a crazy conspiracy theorist when Pizzagate was popping off and what was it, Frazzle Drip and all that. Danielle, you're crazy, you read too much into everything. My whole friend group around me. I'm crazy, conspiracy theory, Danielle. No, I'm not surprised. And it's not shock factor. This is real. This is real. And we should be surprised. But nobody wants to believe that this stuff happens, guys. We cannot change our reality unless we start looking our reality in the face. And the reality is, people are doing this probably right now. And the longer we act like it doesn't happen, and we don't take it seriously, and we don't push for investigations, we just brush everything off as a conspiracy theory, the more it's going to stay here, okay? And the Wayfair thing, like all of it, I believe all of it. I do, and not because I'm a conspiracy theorist, but because these people.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. That they was using Wayfair, the furniture website, and the weird industrial cabinets that were priced upwards of $10,000 and had the names of missing children and teenage girls attached to them. And then a purchase from Wayfair during this period of time of the Epstein files has shown up. Oh, something right about that. So if you wonder how can you stop it? That's like trying to stop war. That's like trying to eliminate war. Too many governments, too many politicians, too many corporations benefit from this stuff. It's just so convoluted. It's all about money. Nothing else. There is no other benefit. And that's not human nature at all. It's just not.
Sick, and they hide in plain sight. I'll give you guys another personal anecdote for myself, right? Okay, so eventually, obviously, I ended up telling somebody at my school what was going on, and I got put in foster care, yada, yada, yada. All these years later, I'm still, to this day, want to get justice for myself. Will I ever probably get it? I don't know, unless there's a lawyer out there who actually wants to, like, give me a chance and explain to me what I can do. But I will never forget years ago, when I was doing my own personal investigation, because I was working with my local police department, trying to do whatever I can to get their police department to look into them and do something, right? So I'm trying to gather as much evidence as I can, and that's when I discover, through my own means and my own ways, I'm not gonna get into all of that. If you guys follow me on TikTok, and you were along for that ride, right? My was my stepdad, and my stepdad was following multiple weird accounts on Instagram, a lot of them being moving blanket accounts or moving accounts, but when you went to these moving websites, it was a fake website. Well, why is my dad, who was trying to traffic me, like physically traffic me, why is he following these random fake moving companies? That's weird. That's weird. Hidden in plain sight, right? Hidden in plain sight. He was also the same guy that was going on teen dating sites. Did you know those even exist? At least they did back then. I mean, I feel like when it comes to kids, the most absurd claims should always be investigated. When we're talking about children being harmed, it should be investigated. Period, end of story. I cannot believe how long this has been going on. I cannot believe that right now, February, what is it, the 3rd of 2026, nothing has been done. Thousands of pages of files. I mean, so much. The word cheese pizza, pizza in general, was mentioned in the Epstein files over 900 times, and that's just what we have so far. And nothing's being done. The point of my video today was to inform you about how heinous this really is. And to hopefully show you that it's okay for you to be angry. Even if nobody around you is angry, you should be. If you feel angry, be angry, dude. Be angry. We should be angry about this. And I want to do my part to make sure that the whole world never forgets what these sickos have done and what they are doing and are willing to do. Left wing, right wing, my favorite celebrity, I don't have a favorite celebrity, but if I did, my favorite musician, I don't care. I don't care. If they're in there, if they're involved, if they have harmed somebody, an animal, we all need to know about it. And they deserve nothing. But that is all I have for you guys today. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know. There's definitely a lot more involved with the Epstein files that I will talk about, but I don't know why, for some reason, this part of it really is just tearing me apart. And maybe it's because I have gone through child sex, and that's really triggering, but I'm just reading these things from these little girls as a mom. I'm just imagining my own kids. I would never want my children to feel that way. And I could never, my heart breaks so much for these little kids that they felt that way, that they felt so scared, and that these children just didn't even want to be here anymore. No child should ever have to live through that. Okay, seriously, this time, that is all I have for you guys today. I will see you guys on the next one.
Yeah, y'all. So, through the comments. So, there's this comment that says, this reminds me of the Mexican model Gabriela Rico Jimenez, who had gone to a party with elites. If y'all haven't seen that YouTube short that's going around right now, it's the video of the girl, the woman, she's screaming. She's out on the street screaming, speaking in Spanish, as she's saying, they smell like human flesh. And this was back in 2009, and she disappeared after that, okay? It says she was caught on camera breaking down and yelling for her life about how they ate people. She basically explained how the elites were eating people and children in a satanic ritual. She also claimed that Bush was there. This was in 2009, and she hadn't been seen since. Everyone assumed she was crazy. People would rather call you crazy than accept reality. What's been going on in human societies for so many years. Because like I said, this is not new. This weird stuff is described in the Bible. This is not new at all. One comment says all the Trump golf courses need to be dug up pronto. As a male CSA victim, I totally agree, because no one should ever have to go through any of this. I was SA'd at 12. by a female teacher of mine. No one ever believed me. It took years of trauma to be able to heal at least a bit from it, and it hurts me still that she is most likely walking around. Yeah. It'd be terrible when you're a boy. Because then people want to pull the, oh, by your hot teacher, oh, you should be grateful. That's a whole different type of gaslighting. What? I should be grateful for being raped just because I'm a dude? Okay. But they be teens and children. He said he was only 12. That's disgusting. This comment says the scariest part of all of this is that what we are seeing is only what they are allowing us to see. Imagine the extent it goes to if this is what they are willing to release. Yeah. Just like, it was this episode of Super Nanny where the dad was very, very abusive. He had all girls. He had a 14-year-old daughter and was like criticizing her clothing. He was calling the girls, he had children like down to 2 years old. He was calling the girls bitches on, little bitch on the camera, on Super Nanny. And then and he was popping, like doing this to his 2-year-old daughter when she would, what could a 2-year-old do wrong to deserve a pop in the mouth? Like, she don't even have vocabulary basically yet. I don't know. But he was popping her in the mouth, spanking her, stuff like this. Ridiculous. But he was doing all that on camera for everybody to see. Then it turns out, I guess he forgot about one of the cameras. And he ends up really like smacking his little 2-year-old daughter in the mouth. And it's caught on, maybe it was a baby cam of some sort. And to the point where on Super Nanny, they had to like blank it out. This is that same thing. Like, what you see on the surface is version light version of whatever is really going on. Somebody says the book Tender is the Flesh, which she described earlier in the video, is a book about a post-pandemic world where it becomes legal to eat certain types of human beings like cattle and use them for meat. They say the book Tender is the Flesh is what happened in this country, USA, during chattel slavery of Black Americans. This behavior is nothing new. Wow. I had to drop down on that comment. This person says it's crazy how they never taught about the cannibalism that was happening during slavery. It was very common. There are literally cookbooks for Black people. This person says that's sad. It reminds me of the pre-Hispanic Mexico and how human sacrifice was an honored norm. Nothing that she just said that them people is doing, it is not far-fetched. It's not like it's never happened before. It has happened so many times in so many different cultures. They say death worship was normal too. And here these vipers are, like in the Old Testament, where Solomon defied God for more wealth, power, and women, that he joined evil pagan women who sacrificed their children for power. This stuff sounds like it's straight out of the Bible, no exaggeration, no jokes, because, y'all, it is. It's not even a prophecy. Like, God had to outlaw this stuff. He had to damn outlaw it. Mm. One of these comments says, and it has 505 likes, from Teddy Bow. It says, my dad yelled at me last night for being so scared. As a CSA survivor that never got justice, knowing the world is run by a group of sick, ultra powerful people makes me feel absolutely hopeless. Dang, let me hit the drop down. Why is her dad yelling at her? He must be a demon too. And y'all, let me clarify. Everybody walking this planet who does bad things is not a demon, okay? But I think I've said this before, potentially. I do believe you can do things. It's not many, but you can do things that will cause you to lose your humanity. Like, you lose the ability to call yourself or be seen as a human being if you do these things. One of them is eat people. Now, trust me, I understand that. I believe it was Papua New Guinea where there was a prion eating disease that broke out because people were eating brains. But you know, as technology has gone on, y'all, what was that village like? The researcher went to the village and they were studying why there was some kind of disease breaking out where was there some kind of laughing disease? I'm trying to remember. It was something, and it kept breaking out, and they couldn't figure out why. It was devastating the village. And then they finally realized it was because of their culture of eating the brains of the deceased. They didn't understand that they were actually like giving themselves this brain disease by eating their deceased family members. It was a culture for them. So when they, got notified, like, guys, stop eating them brains for a little while and see if like the disease stops spreading. It stopped spreading. I think they were on the brink of extinction because of that. Y'all could probably look that up and find it because it was a huge thing. And so they let go of that practice. And I think they were one of the last civilizations to do that. So, yeah, I do think now with all the knowledge that's out there, if even a remote village can like understand, okay, dang, we need to stop eating the dead. If even a remote village can understand like cannibalism is not good. Um if you're doing it in a country like America in the Western world, you're a demon. You don't have the right to call yourself a human. You're not a human being. You're a demon. Maybe you were a human at one point, but you've been completely overtaken by a demon. And you know, there's differences. Differences between like possession, being oppressed, and being fully possessed. There's a whole difference. These people in these files, they are fully possessed. There's no hope. This person says at 14, 16, where she was talking about like going back and forth with that girl from her Bible college. Babies and helpless children being trafficked, raped, killed, and tortured is little, and little she put in quotes, and doesn't matter she put in quotes. I hope you absolutely blew up on that girl. That has 804 likes. Yeah, I'm telling you, some people cannot. Their lives have been too damn easy, to put it lightly. Or they've just gotten away with every horrible thing that they've ever done. So, instead of, fully recognizing and taking on the weight, the knowledge that horrible things happen, they can't comprehend it. That's like the worst of toxic positivity, where you kind of like block out everything bad that's happening in the world, let alone everything unexplainable, except by, it's a satanic ritual. I don't understand how. I just don't, even with my own trauma and what I've been through, I just don't understand. I'm watching whole family systems just be in full on denial, and I don't understand how it helps you. I don't understand how it's benefiting you. I won't ever understand, thankfully, because it just doesn't make sense. One day, we are all going to have to, right before we pass away, we are all going to have to like have that flash where we see our entire lives play out. We're going to see everything that we've done, lied about, every good thing we did, every bad thing we did. Wouldn't it be easier? Isn't it easier to like acknowledge the bad things that you're doing, like as it comes, kind of, or at least like in a timely manner? Eventually, not just shoving it down until it all floods you. Like, I've heard on Reddit, I've seen like so many stories of like people's narcissistic family member like killing themselves when they realize the weight of what they've really done to people, to their family, to their children. They cannot handle it, so they actually kill themselves when they finally wake up. That's going to happen at the end of our lives. Anyway, there's like no escape. So it's just like, I don't understand. Like, one day you can't escape your misdeeds forever. Like, eventually you have to pay. And I would just rather pay as I go. Okay? I want to come to terms with, my bad behavior, the bad things I've done to people, my misdeeds. I want to come to terms with it as it comes. You know what I mean? Not all at once. But some people think that they're going to be able to escape all of that. You're not. Yeah, people are saying that people are making jokes about this kind of stuff. This commenter says, I'm a Christian and I can't understand these people who can turn a blind eye to these things, to ICE murdering people, or any of the source with this country right now. Maybe I'm not Christian, but I am a believer in Christ. Stuff like this, how can people not care as a believer in Christ? It's so, so disgusting. I agree. Like, God was so enraged over these exact things, y'all. So don't say you can be deconstructed from religion, but don't ever try to blame none of this on God or the people who pull that. Why would God be letting this happen in the first place? Please pick up a Bible. Please pick it up. Did God create these things? No, he did not, y'all. All the stuff where it's like, oh, it's so, I really hate that. Where people pull that argument is very suspect. Where they're like, if God exists, why does suffering exist? Why are so many kids starving? Jesus has not returned. This world is in Satan's hand, okay? This is a battleground. Spiritual warfare is you needing to use the tools that God provides in the Bible to freaking stay sane as demons run around you. They're all around us. They're everywhere. That's why, like, if you get too carried away, if you're raised into religion and certain sects of Christianity, you won't understand what it even means, what the Bible even means when it mentions anything worldly, and why worldly things are to be avoided. Come on, y'all. One person said, abandoning my atheism because I need to believe there is some kind of hell for these people. Yes. Thank you. Good. And then the second comment underneath says, and then you think about it for more seconds, and then you realize there's a God out there watching this shit in silence and doing nothing about it, if religion is real. See? Same argument. Here they are. This person says, God is real, Jesus is real, have faith, my friend. The person beneath them replies, if there's a God, why is he making all of those children suffer like that? And their abusers enjoy a full and empowering life. Our time on this planet is limited. Time in heaven or hell is eternal. You don't need to worry about how good people have it in this short life. We all know how short life is. We all know that. After is eternal. So whatever you're doing in this life, where it leads you is eternal. This life is fleeting. Everything going on in this life is going to pass. It is not going to last forever. So all the money, the fame, the glitz, the glam, the power, it'll all come to an end. And you'll have to pay up for what you've done. Just like I just said, you gotta face it eventually. Do you, so what are you gonna choose? A full lifetime of denial, destroying people's lives, reaping the benefits, climbing a ladder, getting a whole bunch of power, then you die, you go to hell for eternity? Come on, y'all. Come on. Them the type of people, I don't know, Satan uses so many different types of people. Don't be a pawn, y'all. Don't be a pawn. I even gotta remind myself going through this situation, like in my marriage and in this and that family system, my in-laws. Don't be a pawn. Don't get distracted like fighting against people. You're really fighting against spirits. And I'm telling y'all, I think my Bible needs a cracking open right now. Because I need to remind myself of that in this situation. Don't be a pawn in these games that demons and spirits are playing. Okay? Don't be a pawn. in Satan's battle. Knowingly or unknowingly. Okay. I should remind myself of that. Because a lot of the stuff, even on this low level of my life and my experiences, a lot of the stuff is very demonic. It's very evil. It's very spiritual. It's just not, it's not right. And I feel myself getting caught up where it's like, I'm focusing on the people involved instead of asking, what is the spirit behind this? What does God already say about this? How did God handle people who behaved like this? You know? How do people like this finally get theirs? Because it's not my job. This person 16. I'm probably end the video soon, but this person 16th_noti says, guys, I don't know if I'm crazy, but is it me? Is America, well, politicians, so anti-abortion so more children end up in foster and adoption agencies where they can easily go missing? Oh, and then they say edit. Abortion is a human right. Don't come into my replies talking about how it has anything to do with sacrifices. But it does. Did you not watch the video? They were performing abortions and eating babies and killing babies. You didn't watch the video. I'm not a pro-lifer. I'm just here saying that the rich and elites seem to be banning birth control, so there's more underclass children to exploit. Though no class of children are safe, these scum will literally traffic their own children. That's an interesting comment. Abortion is not a human right. Just like logically. Just using pure logic, where do you get that idea? Abortion is a medical procedure. Are all of us afforded the right to medical procedures of any kind? Dental care is not a human right. Just speaking logically. So, come on, be for real. Like, people, there's so many different layers to some of these. Oh my gosh, it's frustrating. There's so many different layers. Abortion is not just a moral. It's not just a political issue. It's also moral. It's religious. It's philosophical. It's medical. It hits so many different branches that it's like, for you to say it's just a human right, just plainly false. Okay. And I say, don't come in my replies talking about how it has anything to do with sacrifice. Well, I just read to you the Bible verses, y'all. I just read them. There was an actual God, a pagan God, that wanted babies. And you're going to say that killing babies has nothing to do with sacrifice. Huh? Now, if you've never been pregnant, it's hard to comprehend. But yeah, y'all, I'm pregnant. All right. I don't know what my baby looks like yet. He doesn't have a name yet. I haven't held him yet. He's still in my stomach. But he's in there moving around. He can hear now. Where did he come from? Sperm and an egg. Are those alive? This is a huge debate. This is huge. This is what they hinge, like abortion. This is what the excuse for abortion hinges on. Where does life begin? Is any human being that powerful and knowledgeable to determine that? When we don't even know how this universe began? We don't even know what was before the Big Bang, right? We don't know where this universe came from. But somehow, humans on this planet think they can determine when life begins. Get real, please. Get real. Please. Please get real. You are not God or godly or knowledgeable enough as a human being to determine where life starts or even where it ends. There's so many things that we don't know. So to have the nerve to try to say abortion is a human right, to try to even make the claim that there's a justification for it across the board as just health care, you've fallen right into Satan's hand with that one. Right into that false god, whatever that false god was getting from them babies. You must be getting it too. 'Cause no. I'm sorry, logically, it's a terrible I'm telling you, I tell you, had I not gotten pregnant and became a mom or nothing like that, I would have never thought about any of this no further. I would have continued laughing at abortion. You know what I mean? I would have continued laughing at this stuff. That's where Satan wants you. Laughing at stuff like this. Saying it's a human right. Out on the streets with picket fences. Saying you should be doing this. Making laws. Yeah. So that's goofy. Then they say, I'm just here saying that the rich and elite seem to be banning birth control, so there's more underclass children to exploit. Birth control is a whole separate issue. The whole that I want to talk about that, because that's a whole, that kind of goes into like pregnancy prevention, which I did absolutely want to make a video about, or like talking about consent as in helping women understand not the way they'll try to tell you, not the typical way they describe consent, but what are you really consenting to when you agree to have intercourse with somebody. Like, I definitely want to talk about that, because it is not as simple as just an enthusiastic yes. I apologize, but it is not that simple. But banning birth control. Banning birth control would have no effect on pregnancy unless there was another system beneath that or above that causing people to have sex in general outside of marriage. You have to understand how these people up there are thinking. They're banning birth control, and that move would have no power if not for a whole other system, which is secretly encouraging reckless sex. And a terrible sex education. Okay? So, it's really not about the banning of the birth control. You have to use your brain. Just think a little bit deeper. Birth control would not have to exist if everybody was abstinent until they were ready, completely and fully, with all the knowledge of what having a child means, and actually decide to have a child. Birth control would not exist under them circumstances. Maybe it still would for its, but it would only be used for its medical, like, uses. For its hormonal regulation usages. I even would go so far as to say birth control would not even exist at all under those circumstances. They would have created some type of other medication that solely affects the hormones and not whether you get pregnant. So, you know, they can do that. They're smart enough to do that. They know how to do that. Like, you know, the whole hormonal acne, PCOS. I'm not sure if endometriosis is treated only by surgery. I think it might also get treated sometimes by birth control, potentially. I'm not sure. But yeah. They wouldn't just be throwing women, little girls, teenagers on birth control to solve these types of issues. That's a scheme in and of itself, for sure. Yeah. I'm getting sleepy, I tell you. It's 1:48. Yeah, even the people in the comments, in my opinion, it's like, this comment is like, talking about whatever she was saying or whatever was going on in the video at Mark 30:33, 30:33. Yeah. She says, they say, this is true, but we also cannot pretend this entire situation is not intentional, misogynistic, sex-based violence. In my humble opinion, I would say that's a gross degradation of the situation. That's a gross simplification of this situation. Just in my opinion. So it's like, wake up. Wake up and use your brain. Not what you keep getting fed by the media about misogyny and patriarchy and all this nonsense. We're talking about eating children. We're talking about eating the shit of children. And you want to downplay it into misogyny. Please get away. You need to wake up. I don't know. There's people who think they're being woke, but they're really so close-minded that they're downplaying these very severe, troubling situations in society. This person says, I think this will be the last comment I read and comment on. They say, as a Christian, actually, please be careful. They are targeting people like you who are speaking the truth. And no, do not stop your journey. Just be careful walking outside, because it's sadly the truth that ICE agents target people. If something happened to you, I'd be devastated. Please keep sharing your story, other stories and facts. As a 13-year-old, I really look up to you for the truth about these kinds of things. Thank you, and we all love you. Yeah. Y'all, did y'all hear about that YouTuber who tried to go to Epstein Island? Now he done got back home and he got black trucks, black cars mysteriously started following him everywhere. This stuff is for real. Like, I don't know. I don't want to get into like gang stalking and stuff like that, but yeah, they do not like you telling the truth. I would say anybody who tells you to lie, discourages you from telling the truth, who tries to paint you as a liar. I'm speaking from firsthand experience, y'all. That's, at the very least, some suspect spirits acting, but at the most, it's just full-on demons they want you quiet. They want you to be quiet. Alright, so that's my video, y'all. That's my reaction to Danielle. I really like her channel. And I like her I definitely like her stance on stuff. I like how she brings in her own personal experiences into stuff like this, and she really shows like the actual effect, how this stuff is really real, and it does happen to people every single day. Happens to children all the time, right under our noses. And just don't be fooled into thinking this world is sunshine and rainbows. Just because you haven't been through it doesn't mean it just magically doesn't exist, okay? All right.